Hi, I'm Michael James Ott, and I'm offering to serve as President of these United States in the year 2020. Of course, if I'm going to do that, you're going to have to vote for me, and you need to know who I am and what I stand for, and I want you to do that. I want you to know me well, so you're comfortable in doing that. So I'm going to do a series of small videos. This is one I call The Saving of Two Souls, and it's one of the snippets of my life that will tell you or help you understand the episodes in my life that shaped who I am. So, The Saving of Two Souls. So many years ago, I was a very young man in the United States Navy, and I was on board a nuclear ballistic missile submarine, and we were on patrol in the North Atlantic. Strategic Deterrent Patrol is what it was known as, and yeah, so it was my duty and the duty of the crew to stand ready to take the orders to, well, probably annihilate the world as we know it. Of course, all of us stood ready to do that, hoping like hell that it never came to pass. Well, we're out there in the middle of the North Atlantic, and it's the mid-watch. I'm the engineering watch officer in the engineering spaces, supervising the operation of the main engines and the nuclear propulsion plant that provided energy for the whole submarine. And it's maybe 1 in the morning. We're on the mid-watch, and we're doing what we call 4 knots to nowhere. So just hiding out in the middle of the ocean and waiting for these horrific orders that we hope never come. And so I'm sitting there in the control room with some of the control room operators, and the roving watch comes to the door. And I call him Petty Officer White. It's not his real name, but he comes to the door and he says, "Sir, I want to speak to you about the engine room lower level watch." And I said, "What is it, Petty Officer White?" And he said, "Hey, I'm really worried. I was down there talking to him, and sir, I think he's going to kill himself." Well, Petty Officer White and I, we used to joke all the time. I mean, after all, it's the mid-watch, so you try to do anything you can to pass the time. And I said, "White, if this is intended to be a joke, it's not funny." And his eyes got big as saucers, and he said, "Sir, I swear to God, I'm truly worried about engine room lower level. I think he's going to kill himself, and it could be like right now, and somebody needs to talk to him." Well, so there you are. So I'm the watch officer, and I tell the control room watches that I'm going to engine room lower level, and I step out, and moments later I'm standing there staring down the ladder into engine room lower level, and I'm thanking God for the 2 years of psychological training that I've received as a United States naval officer. I have no training for this. I have no idea what I'm going to say to Petty Officer Blue. Again, not his name, but he's feeling blue, obviously. Yeah, so what options do I have? Unfortunately, on board a nuclear submarine, there's lots and lots of ways to kill yourself. And even more unfortunately, there's lots and lots of ways of killing the entire crew while you try to do that. So down I go. And I climb down the ladder, and I see off to the side there is Petty Officer Blue. He's standing in the corner on a platform in the engine room lower level, and he looks like a bathrobe that's kind of hanging on a hook. So he's kind of sitting there like this. And so I walk up to Petty Officer Blue, and I'm looking at him, and he's not acknowledging me at all. And so I say, "Petty Officer Blue, Petty Officer White was just talking to me, and he said that you're not in a very good way down here. Is that true?" And there's no response. He's just standing there looking like a bathrobe. And I said, "Petty Officer Blue, is it true that you're thinking about killing yourself? And for the first time, he actually kind of moved a little bit. He kind of went like this. And so I looked at Blue, and of course he's looking at his feet. And I said, do you want to talk about this? I mean, normally it helps to talk through things like this. Let's talk about why you might be thinking about taking your own life. And just silence, no response at all. And I said, come on, Blue, talk to me. Let's talk through this. There must be something going on. Somehow, some way, if we talk, maybe we can find a way through this. And still no response. So I said, okay, Petty Officer Blue, sometimes, like I say, talking really helps, and since you don't seem to be in a place where you want to talk at the moment, I'll just start talking. Now, I have no idea what I'm going to say, and why the words that I'm about to say came to me, I have no idea. They just did. Petty Officer Blue, when I was a child, I grew up in the outside the suburbs of Chicago. A lot of my family is from Chicago, and we went to a White Sox game. And there was a bunch of us, big family, so lots of uncles and cousins and stuff like that. And we all went to the White Sox game together. And oh man, there was a bunch of us. So I don't know, maybe 12, maybe 15 of us. It was a bunch. And the game's over. And we're coming down, there's this like spiral stairwell or ramp. Not a stairwell, but a ramp that goes down from the stadium. And I'm in the front of the whole line of my family up behind me as we're going down this ramp. I guess they put me in front. I was one of the youngest kids in the bunch there, about maybe 5 years old. And so we're going down, and all of a sudden I kind of, I'm looking over my shoulder once in a while, make sure people are there, and then I look over my shoulder and everyone's gone, just that fast. My whole family's gone, and so I'm looking around, and of course there's a mass of people going past, and I just assume they must have gone past me, and I didn't see them because there's just thousands of people pouring out of the park and down this ramp. So I go down the ramp, and I get to the bottom, and I don't see them, and I go outside the park, and I'm looking around, I don't see them, and I'm starting to get quite scared at this point. And I see the parking lots across the street, so I think, okay, maybe I'll just go try to find the car. And I go across the street, and I'm walking around these parking lots for just a few minutes. It felt like hours, but it was just minutes, I'm sure. And I realized, oh my God, I'm lost. I mean, I am lost. And so I'm starting to cry. I'm very, very scared, frankly. I'm terribly scared about being lost on the south side of Chicago. And I'm walking toward the stadium again, and I'm getting a little bit closer to the stadium and the street where I crossed. And there, kind of on the corner, there was a police officer, and there's some kind of, I'm going to call it a call box. I don't know what it is, but he's standing there. He's on the phone or something. He's got some kind of thing he's holding to his ear, and he's talking to somebody on this post or this pole thing. And I'm standing there trying not to cry hysterically and trying to manage the courage to go and tug on that guy's pant leg and tell him that I'm lost. I'm equally scared of doing that and equally scared of not doing it. And so I'm putting together the courage to go do that. And right then, I hear this voice from above. And I look up, and I hear, Mickey. Everybody called me Mickey back then. Mickey, don't you move. I'm coming for you. Now, I don't tell this story very often, but when I do, some people might imagine that that was the voice of God. Well, as far as I'm concerned, it might as well have been, because it was actually my older brother, and he was hanging halfway out the stadium, and he's pointing at me. Don't you move, don't you move, I'm coming for you, don't you move. And of course, I am delighted that my brother has found me, and he pops inside the stadium, and I'm standing there, and now I'm crying tears of joy, because, well, thank God, my brother is coming to save me. And all the while, this police officer has been talking on this device, whatever it is, and now that's finished, and he hangs up, and I seem to remember him closing a little lid or something on this thing, and then he walks away. Now, Petty Officer Blue, that police officer had no idea that I was there. He was totally oblivious to the fact that I was standing just a few feet away and crying and basically lost, and now hopefully found. There's no response from Petty Officer Blue at all, so I said, well, so many years later, I was graduating from high school, and I had the bright idea I was going to go to college, and I had no money. My family had no money to try to help me to go to college. And I mentioned this one day. I was talking to my homeroom teacher, and he said, hey, I really need some skilled labor to do some work on these homes, and I think you've helped in your family build some homes in the past. $5 an hour, and as many hours as you want to work, you can have it, okay? We're going to be working 7 days a week. We're going to start the day after school's out, and we're going to go the whole summer. You get as many hours as you want. So I was very thankful for that, and I took him up on his offer, and we were working on these homes. And so there's 2 homes, and they're one for himself and one for his cousin's family. And so we're building these homes, and my homeroom teacher, the location where his house was is actually, there was another structure there before, and there was a foundation, poured concrete and reinforcement bar and all this other stuff in it. And he had got the idea that he was going to take a bulldozer and a dirt mover and dig a great big pit behind that old foundation and knock all of that into that deep, deep pit. It's probably every bit of 40 or 50 feet deep. And then put his new foundation up in front of that. And then as he was generating whatever, pieces of board or whatever refuse from building these homes, he was just going to throw it down in that pit, and then eventually fill the whole pit in, and get rid of all of his garbage basically on this by burying it in his backyard behind the house. So we're working on these homes, we're framing them, blah 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 blah, and we get to the place where we're putting the roofs on these homes. We do the cousin's home first, and the whole time while we're up on the roof, I'm not very appreciative of heights. I don't like them at all, and so I'm very cautious up there, and it takes me minutes, crawling on hands and knees to crawl across the ceiling joists or the rafters or whatever, and my boss, and especially his brother, they're giving me all kinds of crap about my fear basically of heights and falling off these roofs, and so they call me Billy Goat, and the one brother, meh, meh, Billy Goat, and they also they said, well, we don't blame you too much because you don't have these special cork-soled boots that we have. If you did, you'd feel great about running around up there on the roof. They're awesome. It's like you stick like glue up there. And so the days, there was only 3 of us working at the time, I think, and it took us a few days to do these roofs, And of course, the whole time I'm hearing, you know, Billy Goat, meh, 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 and Cork's old boots. And this went on. And so the second house, and this is a few days later, we're up on my homeroom teacher's house, and this horrific pit is now behind us. It's underneath where if you come off the roof, you're going to go down in this pit, and it looks like some kind of horrific concrete porcupine with these big craggy pieces of concrete, and then rusty, pointy, sticky iron bars like pointing out of it all over the place. And I tell you, by God, I was not going down in that hole. So we're on the back side of that house, right over that pit, and the other guys, they're up above me, so they're nailing on sheets of 4x8 plywood, and they're cutting and measuring and nailing, and they're just kind of like tacking it down with a few nails. And it's my job to put in the dozens of nails in the rest of the board to kind of put it there permanently. And so I'm all the way down at the bottom, and actually I'm right on the bottom. They got a 2x4 nailed to the top of the roof there, right near the edge. And I'm down on that roof, because by God, I am not going down in that hole, I'll tell you. And it's scaring the snot out of me to be working down that close to it. But there I am, and I'm like hips and arms and everything just on that roof, just as tight as I can. And I'm nailing and I'm nailing and I'm nailing. Well, this goes on for a little while, and then I hear this, whoa! And a thump, and I look up just in time to see my homeroom teacher, and he is sliding down that roof like he's on a water slide in an amusement park or something. Here he comes. He's on his belly, and he's like, whoa! And he's coming down this roof, and he's coming down, and I'm kind of like at the end of this 2x4, and he's coming right, he's going to go right past me and right past the end of this 2x4 and right down into this pit. And so I'm watching this, of course, and it all happens in just seconds, right? So down he comes, and just as his feet and knees and hips are shooting over the edge of the roof, I'm reaching out best I can to like hook him under his underarm and try to stop him from going off the roof, and try to stop me from going off the roof at the same time. And between the two of us, him clawing to get back onto the roof and me tugging on his armpit and his arm as best I can, we get him back up onto the roof, and I kind of cautiously slide over onto that 2x4, and he's there, and we're both kind of shaken because it was a pretty dramatic moment, and his brother has come down to ask if everyone's all right. And the homeroom teacher, he's sitting there for a minute, and kind of everything calms down. He looks over the edge of that roof, and he looks at me and he says, "Hey, thanks for that. That could have been bad." And I said to him, I know. You could have damaged those Cork's old boots of yours." Now, I have to say that I never heard the term billy goat again. I never heard meh, meh, and I never heard about Cork's old boots again that summer. Hey, Officer Blue, I need you to look at me. I need you to look at me. And so for the first time, he kind of looks up and he kind of looks me over a little bit. And I said, "Blue, I'm just a normal guy. I have no fantastic strength. I'm not an athlete. I'm not even particularly courageous. But on that day and at that moment, I stopped that guy from going off that roof. And pretty sure I pretty much saved his life that day." And the many years before, that police officer, that police officer was standing there at that call box or whatever it was. And even though he didn't know anything about me and wasn't even aware that I was there, just by him being there, I was there so that my older brother could find me and save me from being lost on the south side of Chicago. Now, Petty Officer Blue, you are in the United States Navy and you're in the nuclear power program. You're an intelligent young man. You are. And I know for sure that if you want to kill yourself, you'll do it. You'll succeed. Now what I want to say to you is this. You have a purpose. You have a reason. Just like that police officer was there for me, and I was there for my homeroom teacher. You're here for other people. You're here not only for yourself, but you're here for other people. Now I'm going to say something that's selfish at this point. Petty Officer Blue, I don't know specifically details about why you're here. But one of the reasons why you might be here is you might be here to save my life or the life of the crew. I'm going to have to tell you, I just assumed you were here to do that. And at that moment, we hugged so hard that it was hard to breathe. We sobbed into each other's shoulders so hard that our uniforms were quickly soaked in snot and tears. And it was there. It was there. On aboard a ballistic missile submarine and hundreds of feet below the North Atlantic. But not one, but 2 souls were saved. Now, the more cynical among you are going to say that I tell you that story so you will think of me in a better light. That you will think of me in a more positive way. It could not be more wrong. I tell the story for 3 reasons. First, when you are in a position of leadership, you have to lead. And sometimes that means stepping out into places that you never thought you'd go, and doing things that you never thought you would, and doing things that you never thought you could. But you have to do it anyway. You have to step out and lead. The second thing I want to say is, a lot of us, at various times in our lives, some of us for our entire lives, we question, why are we here? Why this thing, this humanity, this life, the birth, the living, and the death? Why? Why this? Why? And I think I know the answer. I think the answer is that we're here to learn humility, and we're here to learn compassion. In short, we're here to learn how to be human. And the third thing, the third reason why I tell this story is that, I tell this story, as I said earlier, I don't tell it very often. But when I do, I tell it with pride. I'm proud of what I did and what I said. I feel like it was important in those moments to do what I did. And I reflect on how I go about my life and what I choose to do. And I try very hard. I don't always do it. Always, never say never, never say always, but I try very hard all the time to consider things and to consider what I'm doing and the decisions I'm making from the perspective of telling the story to the world at some future time. And being able to stand in front of that audience, of the entire world, tell the story with some pride and some purpose. And I do it because I think most people, when they hear the story, they appreciate the hope, the compassion, and the power of it. In 2020, I'll be running for President of the United States. I'm running a write-in campaign. I'm not a member of any political party. I represent the United States, the people of this great country, and the people of this great planet. I promise to serve for 4 years. Not one moment more, not one moment less. And during those 4 years, with your help, with your assistance, we will move mountains. So let me just say this. I firmly believe in humanity. I believe in us as a species. But we have some work to do, you and I. And together, we can do that work. We often say these words, of the people, by the people. Then, and only then, for the people. So I ask you now, will you take my hand and will you walk with me side by side to a better and brighter tomorrow?